Hello and welcome to Fallen Angel Spirits, where we like to make spirits the American way, in the backyard. Being this is the first show, we're going to go over a few things you're going to be needing. Boil pots, stills, what you need for the still, ingredients. Later on we'll be going over how to make your mashes. Kind of simple, easy ways to make a mash, cheap ways to make a mash. A few more expensive ways. It's not a cheap habit. I do want to go over who I am. My name is Gabriel. Kind of playing off the name for the name of the show. I used to be an alcoholic. Drank no less than a liter of whiskey a night. Gave it up. I now maybe drink a couple of these a year. Did I give up drinking totally? No. I do enjoy a drink every now and then. Will I ever drink like I did before? No. I do like to do this here, and this is one of the ways that helps me not drink. Making alcohol. Don't make sense, does it? It works. So let's start with the stills. I have one behind me here that I built. This one is currently heating up, getting ready to make a run. Water. We're going to put water through this. You can distill water. That's what the stills are for. It's not legal to do this in all of the United States, I believe. Maybe one state. But as far as I know, you do got to go through the proper process, get your permits. It is not cheap. I have done a lot of this, done a lot of research on this. You're looking at quite a few $1,000s. But you should do it if you're going to be doing the spirits in the backyard. Meanwhile, we'll be making some runs on some water. This still behind me, this is a keg. I converted it into a still. I put two heating elements in it. One about 3 inches from the bottom. The other 3 more inches up from that. I like to use 2 of them to just heat up the mash or the water. Once it gets to a temperature, I'll shut the top one off. Then I'm going to let the bottom one do most of the controlling. But you need a way to control that temperature so it doesn't get too high. There are several different ways. I will give you, later on, I'll give you some channels that will explain a few things. I do like this. It's from Inkbird. This is a PID controller. Couldn't think of the name of it. What this will do, this will control my heating element in the bottom of this. It'll keep it at the degree I want. If I find that I need it a little higher, I can set the temp up, set it down, but it will control that temperature for me. You will notice too, I also have some green lines here. At least I think you can see that from there. We'll find out. If not, I'll put a picture of it right up here. So these green lines, what this is antifreeze. I live in an area where we get some sub-zero temps, and I mean sub-zero temps. So we need a way to keep this from freezing. I put antifreeze in this. It never does touch the spirit or the water. Just keeps this column here cooled off. This is where all of your vapors are going to come out, get cooled off by a coil of copper tubing coming through here and out here. And I have this on here to just drain it off to the far side. Connected to that, I have a 2-inch column. It is neck down here. The column I bought, it went down 1.5 inches, but you know, I use what I got. I like it. Works really well. I got a couple of sight glasses down in here. I do have a bubble plate. That helps. I think I'll just go into that a little later, and we'll explain more about that another time. And then I got a little bit more of a column here before I hit my still. So, from that one, we're going to go on to this one. I like this one, but I did start with this one. This is probably the simplest way to get started. It's about $109 on eBay, Amazon. It's a good way to get started. I do not believe the prices of copper and stainless steel today that you could build one of these at that price. You might as well just get it all in one, especially if you want to make this a nice little hobby that you do on the side. Nice little size pot. So the first thing you notice is there's another pot on top of here. Got my copper coming out of the lid into here, coils around. This is where the water goes in here, out here, keeps the coil cooled, does the same thing we do over there. helps turn the vapors into water, liquid, and then it will drain out of here into the jar, whatever you're using to collect your fluids. So I do like this one. I do not use it hardly at all anymore. I wanted something a little different. So I went out and bought a stainless steel mixing bowl. Does it work? Absolutely it works. Is it the best thing? Yeah, it could do better. But I wanted to do it cheap and make it do it right. So I bought a stainless steel mixing bowl. Happened to be the exact same diameter as this. Added the pieces I need. This is not easy to drill into or cut holes. You'll find that out as you're making your own. So you'll do the same thing as you would with the other part. Put this on top. You do have these flaps here. Snap them down. Do that all the way around. I did find with a mixing bowl, it's kind of weak. Not as good as the lid that I have on this other one. So as I put these on, might have a little gap in here. Easy way around that. Got these little clips, paper clips I think you call them. They're perfect. Put it on there, have no leakage. Unfortunately, I learned this the hard way. I had flames shooting out of here. Which brings me to a good point. Always keep a fire extinguisher on hand, especially if you're indoors. I don't recommend doing this indoors, but unfortunately I do this in my shed because I want to be warm in the sub-zero temperatures. Keep that on hand. Alright, going away from that. I did build this to put this column on, which was only this part. I do still use this a lot. When I'm using this one here, I'm usually doing stripping runs. And from there, I will take my stripping runs and put it into this pot for my finalized product. Okay, that aside, we'll go into that a little more later when we're teaching a little bit on how to run these. So I'm going to set these aside. We'll go on to the next thing. Brewing pot. Gotta have a brewing pot. You cannot do this without a brewing pot. You're going to be cooking, you're mashing something like this here. You obviously need a heat source. This is from a turkey fryer. Do not use aluminum pots. That will put a nasty taste into your product. Stainless steel or copper only. You can use some brass parts, which is alright. It is not going to hurt nothing. Stay away from anything else. I did venture away from that on one thing, which I will show you when I get to that. So you got your brewing pot. You're going to fill this up with your water, heat it up, put your cornmeal. That's what I used. It's a cheap, easy way to make a good vodka or spirits, whiskeys. Unfortunately, I do not have access to the proper corn that I would want to be running in this, so that's the way to go. Here's my cornmeal. I think this is, what is this? It's a 5-pound bag. 5-pound bag, probably go good for a 5-gallon bucket. That'd be a good starting point. So we'll set that aside. We'll get more into this later. Just another one of the items you're going to need. We'll set it aside. Let's go on to the next. This little funky thing. So I wanted, what do you call it? That's not a bubbler. A thumper. Yeah, can't believe I forgot that. So I just wanted to play around with a thumper. So I built this out of a jar. And this is where I ventured away from the brass or copper, stainless steel. Just want to play around a little bit, see if I liked using a thumper later on. I'm going to get into something considerably better. This and a lot bigger. I didn't like the way it worked. But I used JB Weld on here. I needed to seal it up. I am not good at soldering, and I'm especially not good at soldering on something as thin as that lid. JB Weld worked perfect. It has not affected my runs at all. And let me play around. I like it. I think I'll do a little more of that later. I will also show you how I hook this up later, how you can make one. Maybe you want to get into that. Okay, some more things you're going to need. Ingredients. Obviously sugar. You need sugar to make vodka or spirits. So, generic sugar. Don't need anything different. You want them to stay cheap. That's what this is all about. How to make it cheap. Generic. Stick with that. That was plain white sugar. I also like brown sugar. This gives some really good flavors. I do normally have a very dark brown sugar, and that gives some really nice flavors considering, I don't know what I'm considering. It just gives some nice flavors. Here I've got oatmeal. That does really good in making different kind of spirits. It's oats. It got a lot of starch in it. And that's what you need, is starches out of your product to convert to sugars. For that converting, you do want some malted barley or some malted corn. You can do multiple different things that are malted. You need the malt to convert the starches to sugars. Again, we'll go over that in another show. You will need to know that on how to make your mashes. I do have here, got a rye, a heavily peated malted barley. That this one is ground. That makes it a little easier for me. I don't know if you can see it, but right over in this corner, I do have my own grinder, which is very nice. You do not want to use whole anything. It takes too long to cook it and get your starches out of it. So grind it up. You don't want powder. You just want it to be cracked and ready to go. So we got those. Another thing you're going to want to be using is alcohol meter. Fortunately, I cannot read without these, so I will put these on often. So this here, once you do your run, this here will measure your alcohol level, your percentages, and your proofs. I don't like using this. Is it the best way to go? It probably is. I don't like using it. I like using a refractor. Put a few drops on here, close that up, look through it like a pirate. I'm always told that I look like a pirate when I'm doing that. And it's going to tell you the percentage of alcohol in here, and then that there you could just figure your proof out. Pretty simple. 10% alcohol, 20 proof, and so on and so on. The other thing you're going to need, what is this thing called? I don't remember. I'm terrible at names. You're going to see a lot of that out of me. It's a hydrometer. This one is for a beer wine hydrometer. It works perfectly for what I'm doing. There's no difference between any other. What you're going to use this for, when you are making your mash, you want to find out what the sugar level is. You want to do this before you put yeast in it. After you break down your starches with your amylase, and get your readings on this. This will give you a percentage of what your yield's going to be. I think I got that backwards. Play on words, I don't know. Basically, it's going to tell you how much sugars you got, and you can calculate that into how many your percentage of what you're going to make of alcohol there. I don't like that either. I like things simple. I do happen to have another refractor here. What do they call this one? I don't know. I can't read that. This one is a Brix Refractometer. Again, take a little bit of liquid, put it on here, close that up, look up into the light, pirating again. So this is going to tell you your Brix, which is going to be like your percentage of alcohol you're going to get out of it. Say like we got 1.020, 5% alcohol. that will also, let's say you got a 5-gallon bucket, which we're going to be using mostly 5-gallon buckets. That's what most everybody's going to use. You're only going to get 5% alcohol out of that 5-gallon bucket. If you add sugars, things like that, depending on what you're doing, you can raise that up. This just makes it easier for me because I do not understand all these calculations, and it's just kind of it's a pain in the butt to do. I will give you some channels on people that teach how to use that, and they are very good. On to the next. What else we got here? Oh, sanitation. Star San. Sanitize everything. When you're distilling, you don't need to be so concerned about making sure everything's sanitized. Beans, you're going to be putting it through, and it is going to be steamed and cooked out. What am I at? I got to keep an eye on this. I am getting it heated up and getting ready to make a run. So if I turn away, I apologize. And if you want to use spoons, which you're going to be using to stir things up, buckets, if you're going to be storing them, getting ready to use them, spray it down. I have it mixed in here, so much percentage per water. Spray it down, you can use it instantly. Do not recommend using bleach. This is kind of like a bleach, but if you use bleach, you have to rinse it and then let it sit for 20 minutes, maybe longer. If you want to get going right away, 20 minutes is a long time. I ain't waiting around for 20 minutes. That kind of sucks. Something else. Brew bags. Cornmeal, it can get pretty thick. Hard to deal with. I don't like these so much anymore, but they do have their place, and yes, I do use them. I just don't like them. They're kind of a pain in the butt. We'll go over this again in another show when we're going to use one of these here. Explain about that. What else we got? Oh, no, we'll save that one. Things you can do with alcohol. Obviously, spirit. Aged spirit. Forced age. It is not properly aged. If you want to properly age it, I believe you got to have it in a barrel for no less than 3 years. That's not what this is about. I want to just force age it, which we will go over. Force aging, you will need charred wood. Recommend oak. I haven't tried any other woods. Some people use other woods, but everything you check out, everybody says oak, and that's what I use. It gives very nice flavors. I just got this oak out of my backyard. Well, actually, my father-in-law's backyard. He got it for me. Thank you very much. Other things we can make. Do have a barrel here. Not a very big barrel. It's a small barrel. I like this here. I don't know. I got it written down somewhere how long I've had this sitting, but I'm aging some spirits in this, and this happens to be a spirit that I had been told tasted very, very good. I also tried it, a couple sips. I thought it was exceptionally good. Probably one of the better runs that I have done. So I decided to put it in a barrel. I'm going to keep it for a while and age it properly. I do recommend, if you're going to get heavily into aging things, get bigger barrels. We'll explain the reason why on that later. Other things you can make out of this. Oh, I should show you this one. This is one that I'm aging, same as what's in that barrel. I've got a couple slivers of charred wood in here. And this is from 9/28 of 21. I am going to probably let this sit for 2-3 years. It's going to get darker as it goes. Maybe 2-3 years. We'll see how it goes. The reason I only put a couple slivers in here is I don't want it overly oaked. I just want to get a few flavors out of that oak, and I want some of the caramel flavors out of that oak. So there's only a couple of slivers, not charred, very dark. One is barely charred, but that's a test. I'm going to let that sit and see how it turns out later. We'll come back to that. A couple months maybe. Other things you can make out of alcohol. Things for around the house. This is, what is this? This is vanilla. My wife made this. She did an excellent job. She's got vanilla beans in here. I have used some of this in some of the things I've done out here that I needed vanilla for. This is exceptionally good, way better than anything you get off the shelf in the store. I will not say what this is. We will come around to this when the time comes. Medicinal things. Make some medicinal stuff. Again, I won't say what it is. When we do get into this, I'll tell you the names of things. I will not tell you it's doctor stuff. I will not tell you it's medical stuff. I'll tell you in the name. You can look it up, figure things out for yourself. What else we got? I can't think of anything else. I think I went over everything that basically I use to keep things simple for you. Just get yourself a small still, 5-gallon bucket, whatever you want to use for mashing. Corn, oatmeal. Suggest using corn. Some kind of a wheat, barley, amylase. I forgot about amylase. Do I have some of that? Yeah, I do. This is a nice thing to have. If you can't get your hands on any malted barley, things like that, get some of this. This is amylase. This is a powdered amylase that is not in seed form of any kind. Put the proper amount into your buckets. It's going to do the exact same thing that your malted barley is going to do. Convert your starches into sugars. Easy way around things. Just don't give you the flavors of what you want. So if you just want to make some flavorless spirits, it's perfect. One other thing you're going to want, yeast. I do use a distiller's whiskey yeast. Can't read that. Oh, this is a nutrient. Nutrients are nice too. Add nutrients to your yeast. It will help out your yields. But I do use a yeast that is designed for making whiskeys. I find that that's better. You can use table yeast, bread yeast, whatever you want to call it, yellow label yeast, I've heard it called. Does a good job. Is it the best? No. Get some odd flavors I don't like. If you don't care about those flavors, use it. I've used it. Probably use it again in the future. Why not? It's cheap. Distiller's yeast is not as cheap, but I like my flavors. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to really go over with you right now. I just wanted to introduce myself and get you used to the show. We'll go from there. Hopefully you enjoy it. We got a lot coming up.